नमस्कार. अंतरिक्ष अप एंड अवेत सगळ्यांक येवकार. आमचे स्टुडिओ हांव येवकार करता डॉक्टर रमेश कुमार पै, चीफ सायंटिस्ट आसा ते एनआयओतल्यान आयल्यात, नॅशनल इन्स्टिट्यूट ऑफ ओशनोग्राफी दोनापावल. मेट्रोलॉजी म्हणजे वेदर सायन्स, मनसून कशें आसा, वेदर कशें बिहेव करता ते सगळ्यांचेर ते स्टडी करतात. इतलें इन्फॉर्मेशन आमच्या प्लॅनेट अर्थ तांणी स्टडी केला. आमच्या बरोबर थोडे तांणी ऑन सिजन्स मेट्रोलॉजी ते लास्ट टायम शेअर केल्ले. आणि आज स्पेशल टॉपिक जो गोंयकारांचो इंट्रस्टाचो आसतलो, मनसून्स इन गोवा आनी सिजन्स इन गोवा, ते आमच्या बरोबर डिस्कस करतले. मनसून्स इन गोवा हाजे बद्दल, गोंयच्या मनसुना बद्दल तुम्ही स्टडी केल्या. हे पॅटर्न गोंयच्या मनसुनांचो कसो पॅटर्न असता, कशे स्टडीज असता, व्हॉट इज गोवन मनसून? हाऊ यू विल एक्सप्लेन?
Okay, I will just try to explain that in a very simple fashion. See, monsoons come over the Indian subcontinent by 1st of June. As the let's say the school also reopens, it slowly progresses and maybe reaches Goa, let's say Panjim, about 5th or 6th of this month of June.
म्हणजे हांगा नियर कन्याकुमारी 1 तारखेक पावता.
Yeah, Kerala coast. Kerala coast and slowly progresses and reaches by 6th or 7th of June. It reaches Goa and progresses and covers the entire Indian subcontinent by 15th of July.
Okay. So this is how it
slowly progresses.
And how does it remain? How long in Gowa and all? What is that pattern?
Okay. It withdraws also. Maybe I'll just next slide. Yeah. This is the withdrawal date. The monsoon starts withdrawing from the northwest part by the 1st of September, and by, let's say, by up to 7th or 8th of October, we have the monsoon over Goa. So you get actually from 6th to almost June, July, August, September, or more than 4 months. You get actually lots and lots of rain over here. And I would say Goa has been blessed with lots and lots of rainfall. Okay. We don't have any dearth of rainfall.
Doctor, here sani about rainfall. Main seasonan bharpur paus pattaतच गोंयान. पण we have something also in Goa. We always read on the paper. Meteorological department तांच्यान सांगतात आमका pre-monsoon rain आणि post-monsoon rain. What are these factors?
It's a very important thing. What people say is actually pre-monsoon rain is actually a lot of what happens in the months of March, April and May. And the rainfall is very sporadic.
Doctor, even it, I remember कि January 1 तारखेक New Era के एक वर्ष पाऊस पडिल्लो.
Yeah, actually. So it can happen during the winter, but this pre-monsoon rainfall is actually totally sporadic and it's highly localized. Whereas once the monsoon starts, as you correctly said, it won't stop without falling a rain, and it's consistent. The rainfall is...
It is a full season.
Full season, and it's continuous and consistent and for a prolonged period of time. Whereas the other is actually, like say, for example, if you look at Goa, it may be raining in some particular part, and the amount of rainfall of pre-monsoon is very, very low.
Very, very low. Pre-monsoon is less.
Less. Whereas you look at the monsoon rainfall, bharpur asa. Unimaginable. Say for example, if you remember the Kanakona flash floods or even any rainfall, for example. And this year, for example, is actually there's a lot of peculiarity. This monsoon should have actually covered the entire Indian subcontinent by 45 days. This is a traditional picture, or let's say mean picture for several hundreds of years. But this year also the monsoon came on 1st of June and covered the entire Indian subcontinent by 16 days.
By 16 days, and it reached Uttaranchal.
In fact, Uttarakhand also. This was actually people, usually it should have reached only by the first week or 1st of July. So it came much well in advance, but it has taken the people by surprise.
So you cannot predict the forces of nature.
Exactly.
Like we can only study them. Dotor, तुम्ही जेन्ना नेचरा बद्दल उलयले, सैमा बद्दल, म्हाका दिसता आमच्या आता सायन्स खूप प्रगत जाला. तुम्ही यू आर वर्किंग विथ सायन्स. खूप प्रगती झाल्या, पण आमचे पूर्वज जे आशिल्ले ते काय कमी प्रगत नाशिल्ले. म्हणजे हांव अशें सांगूं सोदता की आमचे जे पावसाळ गोंयान सुरू जाता, आमचे पूर्वज म्हणटाले की 6 जून किंवा 7 जून मिरीग लागले, गोंयान मिरीग लागले म्हणटाले, मृगशीर्ष नक्षत्र, आणि पावस सुरू जातलो आणि मागीर अमक्या नक्षत्राचेर अमको पडटलो. व्हॉट आर द सायंटिफिक रेलेव्हन्सीस ऑफ दिस? म्हणजे मिरीग लागला की अजून पावस पडटा. वी सी दॅट. सो हाऊ डू यू रिलेट सायन्स अँड द एन्शंट सायन्स?
Earliest forecaster of actually monsoon was actually the poet Kalidasa. He wrote actually a nice thing called Megha Sandesha. In fact, he predicted, he said actually Ashadasya Pradama Divse. It comes actually in a place called Nagpur. Okay, it reaches, and it's very true. Even after several centuries also, it has come in the same day.
Kalidasan Meghadutan बरयल्ले अजून सारखे आसा.
Because he could see, he could understand the meteorology and see how fast or this clouds or this monsoon progresses, and he could correctly predict. So that ancient people, their knowledge, in fact, as you correctly said, people look at it. We don't have that computers or what the good old days, but they look at the clouds and say what type of rain will be there. It will be heavy rain or light rain or whatever. Looking at the clouds and looking at, as you said, the space or maybe the astronomical science, they could tell much well in advance how the things will be
Exactly.
forecast well.
And even I think in the ancient times, agriculture आमच्या पूर्वजांनी सुरू केल्लो.
Yeah, very
and
true.
without knowing weather, they would never have been able to start
Exactly.
agriculture.
Weather played a very important role, but because without water you cannot have any agriculture at all.
Right. Egypt is the gift of the Nile.
Yeah.
So they knew about meteorology very well.
Very well in advance.
The ancient Egyptians.
Very true.
आता दोतोर तुम्ही meteorologist आसात. At the same time you are an ocean scientist.
Okay.
So what is the relation between meteorology and ocean science?
I thought everything is played by the atmosphere.
Atmosphere.
After joining here, I knew that oceans play a very important role.
Okay.
Whether it's a source of moisture or the active break cycle. In fact, the Pacific Ocean, there's a phenomena called El Nino.
El Nino.
Okay. This
El Nino and El Nina. We read about it.
Yeah, El Nino and La Nina.
La Nina.
El Nino is actually warming of the sea surface temperatures water in the eastern Pacific. La Nina is just the cooling.
Yes.
This plays a very important role in the atmospheric circulation.
Okay.
El Nino refers to the occasional appearance of warm sea surface waters in the eastern and central equatorial Pacific Ocean. The term El Nino was coined by Peruvian fishermen to describe this phenomenon, which usually occurs around December, and it is a phenomenon that intensifies once in few years and leads to a dramatic drop in the fish catch, which is the reason why it was noticed by the local fishermen. It was later on discovered to be a major oceanic phenomenon that occurs in that region, and it actually involves an atmosphere-ocean interaction in that the atmospheric rainfall patterns, the pressures and the winds actually are influenced by the sea surface temperatures, and which in turn affect the sea surface temperature and the currents, and they provide an indication of the atmosphere-ocean interactions in the region. On the other hand, the La Nina, which is an opposite situation, which indicates cold sea surface temperatures in the region, is a counterpart of El Nino. El Nino and La Nina, though they are confined to the equatorial Pacific Ocean, their impacts are seen all around the world. And in fact, these two events are believed to be accounting for a large part of the year-to-year changes in the regional climatic variations. And we have already seen some impacts of this particular El Nino, which is considered to be a relatively weak to moderate intensity event. And it is considered to be having already significant impacts in many parts of the world. But at the same time, we have to note that the regional impacts are a result of a number of other factors in addition to El Nino, and we have to combine all those influences and work out the regional impacts.
Okay. Same way, we have another phenomenon which happens in the Indian Ocean called Indian Ocean dipole.
What,
Okay, so
Indian Ocean?
Dipole.
Dipole.
Okay. It's actually warming or cooling near the Sumatra Java coast.
Okay.
So these
In the
oceanic
southeast, down.
down equator to 10 degrees south near to that Sumatra.
Okay.
This is the Indian Ocean Dipole, also known as Indi. He influences inland New South Wales rainfall in winter and spring. Indi brings rains when the northern eastern Indian Ocean increases the amount of moisture it provides to the atmosphere. This moist air is herded across Australia and can deliver significant rainfall when the northeastern Indian Ocean produces less atmospheric moisture. Indi doesn't drive as much rain, and we can end up with a drier winter and spring. Historically, Indi has been a significant source of rain. However, in recent years, Indi has not been chasing moisture down south as often as farmers would like, reducing the average rainfall. Indi is closely watched by scientists who make limited predictions on his behaviour before winter and spring arrive. Keeping an eye on Indi's behaviour can provide an indication of the expected rainfall coming from the northwest.
So the oceans are the major source of, let's say, when you get lots of rainfall, where does the moisture come from? It should, no doubt, we have actually evapotranspiration which takes place over the land.
After all, oceans are 70% of the planet.
Plus they pump in moisture into this, whether it's a monsoon onset or whatever, in the atmosphere in the form of evaporation. So oceans play a very important role, whether it's for the onset or active break cycle or the, for example, the cyclones, for example. chakravat, which we call
cyclones.
Cyclones also this or the depressions
Originate mostly in the ocean.
Oceans only. Once they come the land, they die out.
आम्ही गोंयच्या मनसुनाचेर आशिल्ले ताजेर परत येवया. आता गोंयान खूप बदल जाल्यात. पॉल्युशन आसा आनी आमी अर्बनायझेशन केलां, झाडां कापून उडयल्या. जे पयलीं आमी पावसाच्या दिसान भाज्यो खाताले ते आतां चडशे मेळनात, शारांनी तरी मेळनात. देर इज अ लॉट ऑफ डिफरन्स बिटवीन ओल्ड गोवा, वॉट गोवा इज टर्न इन टू नाव. डू यू थिंक दॅट चेंज इन द गोवन सिनारियो हॅज लेड टू चेंज इन अवर वेदर?
In fact, we have done some seasonal and annual distribution of rainfall of selected stations in Goa. And we just wanted to look at whether there's an increase or decrease. See, for example, for that, we have taken various stations, like say Parnem, Mapsa, Panjim, Walpoi.
You have conducted a study at this place.
Yeah, we have collected the rainfall data over this, and we have published actually in a report called Weather and Climate of Goa, myself and a colleague of mine, Sate. This shows there are years, as you correctly said, there are several years where there's actually good amount of rainfall. For example, in 1983, Mapsa received almost 4,000 millimeters of rainfall, and Kepem received almost 5,360. But there are other years, for example, Ponda received 1910, and there are several years, for example, Panaji received only 1723. So there is
it's fluctuating.
Exactly. There is year-to-year variability. There are some years when there is a lot of rainfall. There are some years when there is less rainfall.
गोंयान वाडला पावस काय कमी जाला?
So for that, what I did was actually I took 3 epochs. One is actually during a Portuguese period, 1928 to 1955, and just after this one, 1970 to 1986, and there is a recent epoch,
1989 to 2010.
You can very clearly say there has no decrease actually in the rainfall.
म्हणजे गोंयान पावस कमी जाऊ ना.
Only the land use change.
Land use has changed.
Land use has changed. What you said is true, because why people don't give the bhaji or whatever is because in the good old days,
no place for the vegetables to grow.
Exactly. Where is the place? People want to have more and more of flats, more and more of malls, more and more of
urbanization.
So there is no place.
But paus kami जाऊ ना गोंयान.
Rainfall has not changed, and all the rainwater goes actually into the Arabian Sea.
Waste
jata, because there is no way how it can be recharged. Everywhere people have started putting concrete, so there is nothing which can actually be, and the groundwater cannot be recharged.
Exactly. Another thing, doctor, that people are talking in Goa, उलयतात की summers are getting hotter and hotter. हाजे बद्दल तुम्ही किती म्हणू शकता?
See, summers are getting hotter is partially true, because if there is actually humidity, for example, humidity will actually increase the discomfort index. For example, in the rainy season, we have 10% humidity. Even though there is actually little bit of let's say sunshine, you feel very hot. Discomfortable. The sweat factor will actually increase the effective temperature.
You feel uncomfortable.
Exactly, the uncomfortable, because there is no way with the sweat can actually evaporate.
Yes, exactly.
Because atmosphere is already saturated. Where does your vapor, which is sweat, will go? So you don't feel. So there is no wind also. So that creates a more discomfort, and the effective temperature will be this one.
आम्ही थोडेच वेळान परत येऊया. आता आमचो एक ल्हानसो ब्रेक घेवपाचो वेळ आयिल्लो आसा. रोखडेच परत मेळुया.